Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this episode of the podcast, which is a bit different today. This is the conversation series, so I'm speaking with some people, but this time we are doing it with like a roundtable. So we got multiple people on the show today. My wife Teresa was there, and then some good friends who all sort of work in science. Shona and Uzge, who you'll hear on the show, work in the same lab as my wife Teresa in sort of a behavioral neuroscience field, and a friend of ours, Philip, who I believe he works more on neuronal regeneration and stuff like this. Anyway, it's not important because the main thing that we got together to talk about today was the big news from last week. Somebody finally did gene editing in a baby. 2 babies, actually twins, to be precise. So I'm not sure if you heard about it. That's one of the things that I was a bit surprised at, because it seemed like a lot of media places weren't really covering it. Like I don't know, maybe I just wasn't looking in the right places, but for me, I saw it mainly in the sort of science media stuff that I already follow, which I'm well aware that not everybody's going to follow. We could say that the media reaction from the science side and from scientists was pretty swift in condemning this. If you don't know much about it, I mean, we go a little bit into what the guy did exactly, and more so into sort of the ethics, and we have some fun with it. We get a little bit of silly, which is 100% my doing. But our conversation, mainly focused around the sort of ethical questions of it, which is, obviously huge. There's plenty of great articles out there to kind of give you the background if you're interested. I will put those on our website in the show notes. If you're getting this on like Stitcher or iTunes or something, maybe those links won't be there. So go to the website, tobradforyou.wordpress.com, and I'll put up some links. And actually a really great article just came out a couple days ago on December 3rd from theatlantic.com, written by a great science writer by the name of Ed Yong, and the article is titled 15 Worrying Things About the CRISPR Babies Scandal. So CRISPR was the gene editing technique that's been quite popular recently since it's been discovered. This is what they used. And basically, in brief, he edited a couple genes in the embryos and then implanted them back into the mother. And the gene that he messed with is supposed to make them more resistant to HIV. Their father has HIV, so that was sort of the justification for doing it. But just briefly before we get to the discussion that we had, there's a couple things that popped up in this article that we didn't really touch on. So of this 15 worrying things about the CRISPR baby scandal, we do touch on this one, but the first thing is that he didn't address an unmet medical need. So we get into that a bit in the conversation, but basically, him editing this gene won't necessarily make them completely HIV resistant, and there's other ways that you can do that. So this was unnecessary. That's a big point when you're talking about the ethics behind this gene editing in babies. And then the other thing that we didn't touch on really, but I guess he gave a presentation, like a scientific presentation at a big conference recently, last week as well. And I mean, we talk about having watched some of the questions that he fielded from this meeting, but apparently, in the presentation that he gave, it turns out he looks like he might not have even done a good job. So there's other scientists out there that are denouncing the work for being, quote, amateurish. This is again from the Atlantic piece by Ed Yong. It looks like not all of the copies of the gene in one child have been edited, and we're not sure if that's because she's heterozygous or because he kind of screwed it up and now she's like a mix of all, each copy could be edited or not. So that's not good. And yeah, I think the other child, because they were twins, it's kind of the same thing. So it's really unclear as to how well it worked, even. But also, in doing so, as we mentioned it, as you'll hear in the conversation, we talk about how this gene, this mutation that confers resistance to HIV, is found in European populations, but it's not common in Chinese populations where the editing was done. But it looks like he didn't even mimic that mutation that's already found in Europeans. He did something else, or just kind of willy-nilly, messed around in this gene. So yeah, it's really doesn't sound great. The guy kind of sounds like a bit of an idiot, to be honest. And then because, well, first of all, just editing a gene, you'd never really know what the downstream effects are going to be, especially because it looks like they sidestepped a lot of animal work and just jumped right to humans. I mean, they did do animal work, but not as much as you would if you were going to, jump to editing human children. And then because, he made these mutations that don't even resemble the one that's naturally occurring in the population, nobody really knows what that's going to do. So that's just a bit of sort of an update, I guess, of some of the things I found since we had this conversation. And like I said, the conversation that you're going to hear, we kind of just, went into more of the ethics of it, like the sort of big picture things, because I mean, we now live in a world where somebody's edited genes in embryos, and that's sort of a line in the sand, pretty amazing on one sense, but obviously too soon, too early, reckless, all of these things. We now have a lot of top scientists in the field calling for a moratorium on all sorts of the work that would lead to this kind of stuff. So yeah, the guy might have screwed it up for everybody, by trying to be the first, or whatever his motivations really were. But here you go. If you hadn't heard about it, gene editing in babies has happened, allegedly. Maybe he, this is one of the things we talk about. Maybe he didn't actually do it. So take a listen to the discussion. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, some friends from here in Marburg and surrounding area, all scientists, so all sort of, scientifically inclined. And we had all heard about it, obviously. And we had sort of had similar conversations to the one you're about to hear in the pub. And so I thought I invited everybody to come in and do a quick podcast on it, just to sort of see if we could capture some of the thoughts about it while it was still fresh. And I hope you enjoy it. So as always, a little bit of the freak motif, and then on to my conversation with my good friends Philip, Uzge, Shona, and my lovely wife Teresa. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We got a full room today. Philip?
Yeah, my name is Philip, and I'd like to have the opportunity to be a part of this podcast.
Dr. Philip. We're all doctors, right?
No.
Oh, shouldn't. Sorry. Get out. But Uzge is here as well?
Yeah. You should say it.
Yeah, say it properly because
Uzge. My name is Uzge.
Right. Hi. There we go. Teresa.
Hey.
Lovely. Shuna's in the back. She's a little shy. Maybe doesn't want to be totally on mic. But once we start going,
maybe.
We'll see.
She'll join.
We'll see. Anyway, this is great. I'm glad we're all here. We've had this conversation in the pub a couple times so far. We're kind of got this podcast together to talk about the big news of the week, the genome editing in humans for the first time ever, controversial genome editing in humans.
That we know of.
Right, that we know of. Well, let's dig right into it. So I think, does somebody, one of you guys want to sort of explain what it was that happened, or should I go give it a go, or?
Well, maybe we can talk about it together a bit. But what have you heard? What actually happened?
Yeah, so for me, I heard he edited the genome of two twins. It was twins in China. So the parents, one of them is HIV positive. The father is HIV positive. The mother is not. And so he edited a gene in the embryo that would make the children more resistant to HIV infection because they're at risk because the father is HIV positive. And the big controversial thing in this whole thing is that it's in the germline. So these kids, this edit that he's done is permanent, and they would pass it on to their children then. So that's the really big thing when it comes to like gene editing. This is the first time that it's been done in the germline, so in the embryos, and it's permanent. It will be passed on. There's been other cases of like doing gene edits in people, but it's in the non. I don't know how you would say the non-germline, but
it will not be passed on.
It would not be passed on. Yeah. That's basic. That's a very basic overview, I think, of what happened.
What I found most interesting about this thing is I read a couple of commentaries in scientific journals, just such as Nature and other such publications, and the controversy there, funnily to me, was that this isn't actually, or what they argued, actually a valid way of fighting AIDS. That was for them the controversy, and not the fact that the genome has been edited, and that was a bit funny.
But that comes to the idea of like, I guess as a doctor or researcher or something like this, it's like don't do any harm is one of the first rules, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't know how safe this is, this editing process, and so if it's not absolutely necessary.
Well, it definitely isn't necessary. Apparently, at least if you read most of the commentaries, most of the people there said that it's not actually, it probably doesn't even help, and it might even be harmful in a way.
There are apparently other ways, even before the fertilization. Like sperm washing, etc.
What they actually also apparently did on top of the gene editing.
Sperm washing.
Indeed,
so you just run them through the wash machine a couple times.
So they could have been probably safe without this method.
Well, and so that kind of like when I was reading about it, because that same thing, right? Like, so it's a lot of the discussion in that video that you sent me, because this guy who did this procedure just gave a talk at this big genome editing conference, and so I watched a bit of that video that you sent, and that was all the questions that he was getting were these like ethics questions on that, which he did kind of like dodge. Like he didn't really, I don't know if that's a language barrier thing or what, but like
I think it was both. It was really vague, all of his answers. I think, and he
of course,
and at times he also didn't understand this. One could also see like he had to get it repeated, but
how well
maybe that was was okay, let's say. I mean, he could explain himself, but
so that's the thing, is like, so what do we think his motivation actually is, if we had to speculate? Because I found out too in doing some of the reading some of the articles, he does own a company as well. So I don't think the company at the moment does gene editing, but they're like a DNA sequencing company. And I mean, obviously this is going to be a private industry thing if it becomes the norm.
He has patents on it as well, so...
Oh, really? So, this is like, I mean, and nobody really, as far as I know, really questioned him on that sort of financial angle. Because it's like, you could see, like, if it works, like, all goes well, more or less, or whatever, and he's sort of like the first guy to do it, and then he's got this company and these patents and stuff like that. He's probably set to make a lot of money.
Yeah, he's probably up to maybe finding some new candidate genes for the next maybe gene editing. No one knows.
But so it's like, it seems to me that like his angle is not totally, he said all the right things, like we're helping people, this could really help people and stuff like that, but it seems to me that there's got to be a level of like, the ego as well.
And he said he's proud of it. That's
Yeah.
what he also said.
Yeah.
He's proud of what he's done.
I think the technique is interesting. I think the particular gene he chose for his first gene editing was, well, it was a strange choice and probably not even a good one.
Mm.
But I don't even think that's the issue here, which gene he chose in the end. It's just the fact that it's now possible to do it
Mm-hmm.
and see what can be done with it and see what dynamic it will actually develop, because in the end, if you can make people smarter with it and see what kind of influences this has on society. I mean, it doesn't even have to be bad influences, but or direct bad influences as the actual gene he chose now might have. It could also be that the bad influence is not on the person who has the gene editing, but on the people who will not have it in a way.
Oh, right, like so creating like a gap.
Yeah,
like some people get it, some people don't.
Yeah, right. I think this is a much bigger problem in the end. Yeah.
So then, let's go around the room and let's just say, are you in favor of doing gene edits on people? Just as like a really broad, like not specifically this one. Personally, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think we should do it. I'm not saying that this was the right time to do it or that this guy did, but I just think as a general thing, I think we should do it. Anyone else?
Maybe me as second. I would say that it's not really a question of whether one thinks it's good or bad. I think it's not. It cannot be stopped. It will be done.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter what anyone thinks about it. It's just too tempting not to do it, really. I mean, even if you don't want it, and even if it will be forbidden or anything, it will be done.
Mm-hmm. Someone's gonna do. Well, I mean, this guy did it, so.
Yeah, and he did it. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I definitely understand why you say it should be done, like for those diseases who have no treatment. I think, then it might be necessary, but once you let it go, I think there is no
stopping it.
Yeah, there will be maybe no barriers, and then people could do whatever they want, like Philip just mentioned. And well, maybe this is the future. Yeah, maybe this is how humans will be in 100 years.
You create a new species.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So you're conflicted. Well, I think that's how a lot of people are. Teresa, Shona?
Yeah, I think it's the same. Because I don't know what's there's obviously pros and cons, but maybe I don't actually understand it all that much.
It's okay.
If you just delete the one gene or you alter this one gene, then isn't it possible that you could have other downstream?
Yes,
yeah, of
absolutely.
Course. And this is what they discussed about this particular gene.
That's one concern, that they can be probably susceptible to, I guess, sickle cell anemia.
Yes, and even the flu, they said they are more susceptible to it with knocking out this particular gene.
Whoa.
So then you take out...
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, you take out the bad gene, but then, maybe you set them up to be more vulnerable to, a common
Other
cold,
things,
maybe, and then that's what...
Maybe within 1 year they will,
all be dead because of it. But I don't think this is really the issue here. I think it's more, imagine if it could be done in a way that it has only positive consequences, that you can perfectly cure AIDS with it, that you can, without any side effects, or you could perfectly cure any disease. But I mean, I think this is the more problematic thing about it, in the sense that people who don't have access to it will not be able to get cured, and
only the rich will get to be able to do this kind of thing.
Will get it, and that's also my view of curing diseases. It's not really a problem, because I mean, this is true for all medications in a way, but I mean, it's, I think, more the enhancement of actual capabilities human beings have, that could be problematic, because some people might not want to have an enhancement of their intellect, which might be possible in this way, and others will, and who knows what the difference then between those people is.
Yeah.
And then each person that say could afford it is altering the genes for their child, then they alter the genes for their child, but nobody's then getting much like family stuff anymore. Does it make sense?
Like you're like losing the
what we got from our parents. Then
because
we edit
will all
from
be
our
the same
kids,
in the
and
end,
then everybody's just editing what their kids will get. So there's not really much like variability.
Diversity anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and it also then kind of too like it and maybe people don't care, but it kind of you could see it like emotionally your connection to your family becomes less, like the whole idea of bloodline and things like that,
That's a very interesting point, actually. I haven't thought of it.
I mean, you could see that it's like, well, who cares about your ancestry, like and people hold a lot of value in that now, like culturally and stuff like that, but if everything is snipped and cut here, that kind of thing. But I think most people, like, so there was some opinion polls and stuff done, and it's like most people, like 60% sort of, on average, think that we should do it as long as it's curing a disorder and not enhancement. So people are really not cool with the enhancement thing.
Where's the line for the disorder?
Yeah.
Indeed,
exactly.
They are blurry.
Very blurry.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what with this specific case what this guy did. They were like, there's other ways to prevent HIV infection in these children. So this is completely unnecessary. And is it even, is it? You don't know that they're going to get the disease. So it's not really curing a disorder, it's more like a preventative thing, so more like a vaccine, which again then falls maybe a little, people would be more like, yeah, well, if you could gene edit me to be, against the flu or something, so I don't have to get a flu shot every year, people would probably go for it. But yeah, what's the line? I don't know. And interestingly, when in the talk that the guy gave, they did point to a paper that was saying the gene that he edited in mice, there was some evidence that it actually enhanced cognition in mice. So it's possible that he's created an enhancement in these two kids as well, unintended. And then
actually, maybe even intentionally.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe that was his end game all along.
Yeah.
He's just playing this like, no.
It's all about HIV.
Yeah. But this would be genius, really. If he found couples with an HIV positive father, just so he could justify knocking out this particular gene.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he's got his company set up, ready to go,
And then he tells the people, we tell them it's for HIV, but in reality, we know what it's for.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring it to another level, because what I also realized from his talk is that in his defense, he was always saying, well, I talked to that American professor, this American guy, reviewed it and all. It seems like there is part of, the competition playing a major role, and he's just, he's just openly is stating that. If Americans, approve my research, if they, the ones I consult are okay with it, that should be okay. And, and this I think is, most of the research going on in China is basically, rising from this competition, US-China, who's going to publish higher, etc. And it's affecting a lot of research in China. Like, I think it's everywhere, but you tend to hear that bit more often from China, retractions, retraction of papers that they, just to get it through in a high impact journal, and then at the end were just maybe fraud results.
Yeah, the pressure to is very high.
Yeah.
But it's a good point. It's like an arms race, right? Like it's people, if we don't do it, the Chinese will do it first, and
Yeah.
We can't let them have this powerful technology before us. It's the same with artificial intelligence and everything. It's a good point. So it kind of speaks to the inevitability of it, like you were saying. It's like it's almost, you could make a protective argument that it's like, well, we should be the ones to do it first. But I think that you're right too, that he was sort of covering his bases by being like, well, I talked to these American guys, and and one of the articles I read today too was that it's like Harvard is moving forward with doing edits in sperm, so they have no plans to actually use the edited sperm to fertilize a embryo and then go that step, but they are doing it. And so it's like, as much as like when you read the media and stuff about this, the most scientists are saying we shouldn't be doing this, like it's too early, all that. I think a lot of them sort of in private are probably like, ooh, he's done it, now we can all start doing it, like this guy broke the taboo first and now we can all go. So there's probably a lot of people that are
Yeah, but that's probably also exactly what's going to happen if this guy gets away with it, if he's not paying anything for
Any
what
cost,
he's then at least I think in that country it will be unstoppable then. And it's like, okay, obviously that's okay, so you can also just do it. And apparently you can fund it on your own. If you're a rich scientist, then you can just cover all the expenses and sell your idea.
And from what I understood is that there is sort of a I don't know if it's a law or a ban or whatever in China about doing this kind of research, but they did have like sort of an advisory from the government or whatever that we shouldn't be doing this. And the science minister, or the equivalent position in China, did come out and say he shouldn't have done it. It's like they said that what you would expect. Shouldn't have done it, was reckless, too soon, all that. But I don't think there's really an enforceable penalty for doing it, whereas in Europe or North America there would be.
Yeah.
What would you do? How would you penalize them?
I don't know. I
I don't know.
But I mean,
the same way you
jail
would.
maybe is like a bit too.
Yeah, but you could also, take his license.
Ban him from
science,
research.
Yeah, ban him from research.
Take his science card.
Yeah.
Gone.
You can't science any further.
Well, he can still do it in his basement. No one knows.
Yeah.
It's true.
And the product is still out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
The genie is out of the bottle. The toothpaste is out of the tube. However you want to say it, it's happened, which is really crazy. I mean, that's just when this news came out, I was like shocked. I was like, you kind of always expect. In the back of my mind, I was like, someone's gonna do it, obviously, but I guess I never really thought about it happening in my lifetime. But here we are. But yeah, I think you would punish him the same way as a doctor that does something unethical. So you could probably, it would be a very difficult legal case probably to make it for, like damages, like physical harm or something like that. But there's definitely like unethical medical practice laws in the U.S. and Canada for sure. I'm assuming in Europe too.
Yeah. I guess, if it could be related to if the person or if these twins will be affected by flus and such diseases more regularly, I guess this is something that could be made a case of.
Yeah. It's kind of unfortunate too, because the parents, this was another thing that came up when he was being questioned in this talk, was all of this stuff about the consent, right? Like, so you get the parents to give the consent, but the child obviously doesn't have no consent whatsoever. And so let's say that, like, for whatever reason, this causes them, to grow like a third arm or tumors up their head or something, like obviously that, I don't think that's going to happen. Being hyperbolic, but what if
you can use it as a point?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so then what are the and that's what they were kind of saying to us. It's like, what is your responsibility to these children now? As they grow up, what if they have problems later in life that nobody expected would happen?
But I think this is a similar debate as with the child abortion stuff. That something's done to the embryo or the fetus that obviously the fetus cannot have a say in.
Right.
I think that's a different discussion in a way, but definitely something.
Well, but I mean, I don't want to sound heartless, but I mean, those are dead. Yeah, I mean, and these will survive, and at some point they will get to know, you know,
what happened to them.
Yeah.
Or and will they? You know, like what's like, because that was this is another angle of it. Like, because people are going to want to know if it worked or not. So do you publish their names? Like, how do you, or do you tell them that they've been edited? That they're the
they
first?
have to be told.
Right? Yeah, they must.
Yeah.
Right? But what if they're kind of just like, well, we got to keep this quiet.
Are the parents' identities known?
No, they wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, it's like a clinical trial, right? Like they can't. We would think, but.
But he said, and this is why it's also not entirely clear if it actually happened.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah, because he said the parents did not want to be identified, and therefore he's keeping them. He's keeping them.
So do you think it could be a ruse?
It's probably it isn't, but the possibility exists.
It still could be. Yeah. Because I mean, this could be a very well excuse, to just cover your fake story. Oh well, the parents didn't want to be identified, so sorry, I cannot prove that.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Yeah.
Believe me, I did it.
Yeah.
They're in my basement.
And I'm very much curious about the article, so the manuscript he apparently submitted.
The scientific.
Yeah, he did. And this is, I think, how it leaked.
Really?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it might.
So he also made an announcement. Like he made a public announcement for sure.
Yeah.
And I know he hired a PR firm as well to start dealing with the obvious bombardment of watching him field these questions in that talk that you sent me was really interesting, because it was like there was a lot of people, and it's like a science conference, right? So they're not yelling or anything, but you could tell it was like really passive aggressive. Well, I think you should answer these two questions. And actually the guy, I think he was like a Caltech dean or something like this for the genome editing. Before they opened the questions to the audience, he gave a short little speech, I guess.
Yeah.
And he just kind of slammed it, again, with no emotion because it's a scientist. But he was just like, the last time we had this meeting, we made a statement saying that there needs to be broad societal consensus to do this type of thing, and we have to know all the safety things, and I just have to reiterate that neither of those two things happened, and therefore this is reckless and shouldn't have been done.
Yeah, I think it's irresponsible.
Irresponsible, is the word he used.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like, I thought that was great. And then a bunch of people, like, when they stood up to give their questions, were like, the first guy to give his question was like, I just want to echo the statements that David just made, because this is like, and so it's like every question this guy fielded was just loaded with this, like, you asshole.
So to me, they were all uber jealous that they weren't the first ones.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like in public being like, oh, you shouldn't have done this, but then are running to the manuscript to be like, how did he do it? Did it work? Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. But
why didn't I just do it? Oh no, it's too late.
Yeah, it worked for him. And it is funny because he's like this meek kind of looking guy, and he's not displaying really any emotion. He's sort of just answering these questions. But yeah, like he even got called out on it once because the guy asked I can't remember exactly what the question was, but it was very specific to the ethics of what he's done to these two children. And he said, and then the answer was like I think the question was like, what have you done for them? Like, why was it necessary in a medical sense, that this is like sort of like life-saving treatment? Like it's obviously not. So he was like, justify why you did it for these two individuals. And he went on this whole thing about like, well, AIDS affects a lot of people, and so if we can do this thing that's
help them.
Yeah, and then the guy was just like, no, that's not what I said. Like, I wasn't looking for an abstract whatever answer. I was very specifically talking about these two individuals and why them, why this couple, and he didn't answer it. I mean, I don't think he can answer it. I don't think he, it's obvious that that's not why he did it.
Maybe it's his
Well,
kids.
I mean, I think it's.
But
I
he
mean,
said he would do it with his kids. He was also asked that, like, if it was his kid, would he do it? He's like, yeah, I would try it first.
My kids do what I want with them.
No, but I think this question, I mean, he should have been. I mean, there must obviously be an answer why he chose those two, and if it's just because those two parents or this parent wanted to, I mean, this could be the answer.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know what the actual answer is, but obviously there is an answer.
Yeah.
And I mean, does it make it worse? I mean, because these two wanted it, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean,
what would be an actual excuse that the person asking the question would have accepted?
Well, I think what he was trying to do is he was trying to nail him on this idea of like
Indeed,
why
that's the intention of the question.
Yeah.
He didn't really care about the answer. He just wanted to nail him with it. So I don't think it's an honest question, because he would not have accepted the answer, whatever it would have been. Yeah.
Right. It's like I could see it. It's like the only real answer, justification I think at the moment is like something like, like Huntington's disease or something like that. Because I think that's very much just like a single gene. If you carry it, you have like you're gonna get Huntington's or something like this. Or maybe it's Huntington's or I can't remember a specific disease. But we know of diseases where it's like if you have this gene in this formation, this mutation of this gene, you will get this disease and it will kill you. So it's like you could have easily done that one.
Indeed, that is
why not do that?
Yeah, why not do that? Yeah.
And maybe it's less characterized, like in terms of like the knock-on effects, but I don't know how much the the downstream sort of effects are characterized for this specific gene. We mentioned a couple that the mouse thing said it improved cognition. There's one study that said it did nothing to cognition. I mean, you're tampering with the immune system. Like this gene codes for something that's part of the immune system, right? Like a receptor on a cell or something like this. So I mean, you mess with the immune system, like the cascading effects could be
enormous.
Yeah, because the immune system is just this complex, thing that we don't really even understand.
But I think from the perspective of selling the technique, you said that it might not have an effect on cognition, or it might if there are studies that say it has, but you can still sell it on the few studies that say it might have. I mean, I think for many people this is enough to actually do it,
The chance of it.
The chance of it. But you can always say, it's not entirely certain, but there are studies who show that it improves cognition. So, and many people will say, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
If there is a chance of maybe enhancing the cognition, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And so I think for a selling point, this is enough, even if it's not 100% proven. Yeah.
Right. But the technique itself, though, too, is like it's just the CRISPR system, right? I mean, so like when people have probably heard about CRISPR and the way that you can very specifically edit genes. So the technique itself is not like revolutionary. He's using a technique that everybody uses to edit genes.
Yeah.
He's just the first to do it on an embryo, like on a human. So it's not like he's patented or done this crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not really genius about the methods or anything he's doing.
He's just kind of crazy enough to do it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem crazy when you see him. He looks like such a little nerd that it's just like I kind of like. Yeah, this is obviously just my wish, I guess, about it. But it's like you almost wish that somebody that does it comes out with a bit more like, I fucking did it, man. Screw you, and I'm gonna be the first to do it, and like really defiant and kind of have like some personality to it. But instead, he's just like,
normally
we did it, and this is why, and blah blah blah, and kind of giving these like,
But maybe if you saw him doing the interview in Chinese or whatever, then it would be.
Where he's just like, screw the world, English. I did it,
Being timid,
You're all gonna be coming to me in like 10 years, wanting my gene edits, and you were all too scared to do it, and I'm the only one that would.
And I've patented it.
Yeah.
You won't get any.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Deal with it. That's personally, I would have preferred that guy. then it kind of even makes a bit more sense though too, right? Like you can kind of exactly, you can kind of be like the Dr. Frankenstein thing. It's like, okay, I get it, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
but now
he just dropped the atomic bomb that somebody else
yeah.
already generated. I also don't see any genius. At least now, right now, we don't know it. Like you said, maybe he's just trying to sell something else. It's cognitive enhancement or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'm okay, he's up to something.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's just, wow, okay, good for you. You did it. You're reckless and you've done it. But no, seriously, there's no genius behind it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's not like a genius thing. He's just the first to do it. Yeah. But I mean, do you have some kind of like, well, take some guts, so putting your neck out there.
Yeah, but as you said, I wish he also acted that way then,
Yeah.
It's just not this, sorry, I apologize, it's, it leaked so fast, but we did it.
It does kind of make me, I don't know, that now we'll get into again, I'm being a bit silly, and conspiratorial, but it does seem like, it's like, it's got to be something else. Like he's got to have some longer game plan, I think, because it doesn't make sense to use this gene. Maybe he did it because it was like somewhat safer. Like he knew that they weren't gonna like die if he messed with this gene, and he just wanted to be the first one to. But it does seem like that's again there's so many questions, and all the questions they were getting, they're like, why this one? Like it's not that necessary, What do you? So I don't understand that. Again, maybe there's me not knowing the field. There's a lot of research done around this gene. I don't know, but
did he try it in mice first?
Yeah, there was a lot of, and I think, and maybe this just answers what I was just saying is that, but I think that there is a lot of animal studies that have been done where they've mutated this gene.
He tried.
Yeah, I think this has been done in animals before.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain, but I think I read something that. It has actually been tested in mice and monkeys before he took it to
Yes, he in his talk he first explained those actually.
Okay, yeah. And the thing too is that this gene that he's mutated or edited, it exists in European populations. Like it's quite common for Northern European populations to have the gene in the way, like it's almost like he just edited the gene of the Chinese babies to be like the ones that Europeans have, and it's so I guess there's kind of already a proof of concept in evolution that, and this was an interesting kind of topic I think as well, is that this is where this technology could go, is you could look at which genes certain populations have that have arose naturally by evolution that are good for something, but other populations don't have them. So a lot of Europeans have this gene in the mutated form that makes them more resistant to HIV, but that gene is not common in China. So he kind of just looked at this and was like, okay, well, we could just introduce that into Chinese population. So you could actually like look at gene like variants of genes from different populations and be like, oh well, African people have this copy of the gene that's good for, resistance to this or whatever the trait is. And then you're less like building it from scratch, but you're taking what evolution has already provided in some groups, but not in other groups, and then just sharing that amongst all the groups. Does that make it better?
Like maybe alcohol dehydrogenase for digesting alcohol.
Right. Yeah, some populations don't have that.
Like for example, I heard it's less prevalent in the Asian population.
I've heard that too. Yeah. So I mean, you could look. It's almost then you're like taking the best of every group and putting it.
But this is very problematic in the sense that it's important to keep a biological diversity in a population, because otherwise, if the genes aren't diversified and there's a problem with this particular gene, there will be no one left who has
the other copy.
The other copy.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of like certain genes are good for certain groups in a specific environment, but then if you change that environment, their genes are not as good.
Exactly. I mean, this is a typical monoculture problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you want diversity. But if we have gene editing technology, it doesn't matter. If the environment changes, we just snip, snip, snip.
Nah.
Change it.
But I mean, we
make some lizard people, whatever.
That's the thing. I mean, now we take we introduce genes that have been found before by nature. So I mean, we couldn't go back to nature because these genes just don't then exist.
But then maybe some other mutations will just arise. It's like then you will excise that one. Okay, now the new one will pop up. There will be some sort of evolution.
Yes, but you don't know if this will actually happen. It could, but
I think that in order to compensate, certain mutations which are not supposed to be there, or certain forms of proteins, I think at some point there will be another mutation just to come up with it, compensate with it, or
Well, yeah, and then I mean, just because you're editing the genes of, like, let's say it's commonplace that most people get their genome edited before birth, right? For different things. Let's just say in the future that's common. It doesn't mean that evolution stops acting on our genes.
Exactly.
It could not.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
So you're still going to get change.
Yeah.
You're still going to get random variation.
But I mean, that's what you tried with this technique to, somehow cut out this random variation, right?
Right,
No, but
right.
it's not the natural way of
it's
it
not,
happening, and it's
it's accelerated.
yeah.
And this is, I mean, for me, this is why I'm like, I've said it a number of times on podcasts that I've done that I'm for it. Like, I think we should, but I mean, I think, again, this is like hypothetical sort of utopia scenario, but it's like, if you completely understand the genome and you know that if I do this change, it does this, it does that, and you can control all of that, which we are nowhere close to doing, I mean, then you take evolution into your own hands. And personally, I'm okay with that. We're humans. Everyone's like, oh, we can't play God. I'm like, yeah, we should. Because then we could, the planet would be fixed. We could just, we need less carbon. Oh, we grow these trees and they suck up all the carbon, or these bacteria, or, and you want to be 6 foot tall? Go for it. Edit your genome.
So you would do that to your babies?
See, that's the only question I have.
Taller than 6.
Well, whatever. I think it's difficult because you can't. It has to be, for me. That has to be the choice of the individual, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah, like.
So
you can't ask.
It's okay to others to do it, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't ask the child. This is what we're talking about. You can't ask the child before it's born whether it wants its genome edited. If it was my kid and we knew that it was safe, and they could be like, we'll cut out all these potential diseases or whatever, I'd be like, yep, do that. But messing with like their height or something like this would be tough, because it's like, well, they don't get a choice. I wouldn't do that. But. But if there was a technology where it's like, you're already born, you're a human, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we can mess with your DNA and mutate you now, and you want to have wings, you get wings. I'd be like, yeah, go for it. You want to be I just think about like all the people that do like crazy tattoos and they like cut their tongues to make themselves look like reptiles. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Yeah. So what if you could do that with like DNA technology? And it's like, I'd be like, yeah, you want to be a lizard? Go be a lizard. Go be a lizard. And then you get like different species, like we actually like it diverges to the point where it's like, oh yeah, these are the lizard people. They live over here. And they've been doing this for years, and now we have lizard people. I think that's great. I'm all for it.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, that's
I know it's crazy.
No, I think this more boils down to I think, and even to a question what the point of life or the meaning of life is in general. Because I mean, if you in this way could fulfill all your wishes, I mean, if all your wishes could be fulfilled, would this actually make you happy? And therefore, is it necessary? Because I mean,
there's only one way to find out. Make all my wishes come true.
But I don't think it would make you happy.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it would make you deeply, deeply depressed if all your wishes came true. Mm-hmm. and you couldn't really foresee what wishes, what the consequences of your wishes are. It's impossible,
Right.
because it brings new problems always. So I think in a way we should do it because it's unstoppable, but also I think it's pointless. I don't think it will bring you happiness at all.
Okay, but
Yeah.
say your child is definitely gonna suffer from a genetic disease, then you would also not do it?
You mean like, for example, Down
It's-
syndrome? Maybe you could cure it.
No,
this
I
way,
mean,
or-
yeah, much worse. I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Maybe for this particular thing, yeah, you're right. I mean, if the child was severely disabled, who knows? I mean, many people think about abortion in that particular case.
Yeah, this is why
And-
they have gene therapy, or not gene therapy.
Yeah.
Like you get the consultation.
Indeed, you,
right
you,
now.
you, you test. I mean, you can test your child if it has that, and then you have to make the decision: do I want a child that?
Yeah, but
has-
are given the choice to abort it or not.
Yeah, abort it or not, and
And there is a way not to abort it, say.
yeah, but
I mean, it's
I
really
think this
always
is
too late.
pointless. I mean, I think you could just. I mean, this sounds awful in a way, but I mean, you could also then abort the child and get a new one.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
sounds awful in a way, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it really isn't a difference. I mean, for me, it doesn't really feel like much
Yeah.
of a difference.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't think it really adds anything new to the entire experience of being a human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You will always have problems, and this won't solve any, in my opinion.
There'll be other. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It seems like it on the surface it makes perfect sense to me to be like,
Yeah.
we know that this gene causes this disease.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, in that sense, it's almost like a vaccine, right? Like
Mm.
with vaccines, we've eradicated, polio or
Yeah.
whatever, or smallpox or something, so it's like, those are gone. That's a problem that we no longer have to worry about. And I would say
Wow.
that's a benefit to
Polio is
society.
not
Well,
exactly gone.
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, this would be a more
It had
permanent solution if you just like removed a defect. I mean, but I guess yes, then
But you're right.
evolution
But
would
this is
still.
you're right. It's basically and this is what makes it so difficult to have an opinion about it. It apparently changes. It apparently changes society,
Mhm.
and it removes problems, and it's difficult to see if the world through that actually became better or not, and if people became happier or not, and or in the long run, without any of these problems, if there will be new ones. For example, too many people living on this planet because there aren't any problems
There's no-
surviving anymore, so
Right.
the entire society will collapse because of too
Wow.
Wow, but then we could just genetically alter all our food to have like super abundant
Which-
food.
well,
this prolongs the
There will-
problem. At some point,
No.
there will not be enough
Over-
resources.
I think there will still be wars, and there will be
Yeah.
enough reasons in humankind just to kill.
Well, in the last 150
And-
years, the population rose by 6 billion people. So even with the most horrible wars that ever existed, so I think
Yeah.
apparently technology.
Maybe I mean, due to those wars, that there is still not an overpopulation
Mm.
yet.
I mean, we're due for a good natural disaster to wipe.
I read on Wikipedia that 10% of all people that lived so far died in war.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That
So
makes sense.
it's not that
Also
many
malaria.
actually, yeah.
Malaria is
Yeah.
one. When you look at that, I don't know exactly the number, but when you look at the stats for malaria, it's like
Mm.
so many people in
Yeah.
history. It's like one of the most. It's
Yeah,
up there.
malaria
It's up there in terms of having killed a
Well,
significant number of people.
Probably more than war.
Flu
even.
too.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flu too. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, but like getting rid of a disease and saying, well, does that make the population happier? I mean, it's almost like not you know, or is it a bit? I think it's, to me, it seems again like a no-brainer that it's like, yeah, if you give more people the chance to live, that's better. And in terms of like, you know,
but then that's exactly my point. Is it really a chance for more people, or just a permanent? Is it a permanent, sustainable way of giving more people the chance to live, or is it just something that happens in this particular moment, but will over a long period lead to total collapse? And I'm not sure. I mean, it's very difficult to oversee this because I mean this is so complex. We will see. I think it's an unstoppable. It's unstoppable. I think it will happen that we will prevent diseases in this way. We will see where it leads. Yeah.
I'm excited. As much as it is like it's. I'll go on the record and say clearly the guy was reckless and he shouldn't have done it and all that. But
it's awesome.
But it's kind of exciting. Like, it's just like the guy that keeps talking about how he's going to do the head transplant.
Well, this is ridiculous.
I know, but
this
I
will
want to see
so
it happen.
What you will see happen with this guy is that the person who receives the head transplant dies.
Yeah.
I mean, of course he will die anyway. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just. I mean, it makes.
Yeah, that one's a bit more frivolous. But this is what I'm saying, and I fully acknowledge, you know, that it's probably not good. But I do, like, part of me gets excited about this. Like, I am, if you being completely honest, I'm like, cool. Somebody did it. Wow. We now live in this world. You know, like, to me, it's a big thing. And yeah, the head transplant's a bit more frivolous. But I would also want to see that happen too. The guy keeps talking about it, he hasn't done it. That's also just kind of a pet peeve of mine that it's like, shut up and do it already, man. This guy's edited made gene edited babies. The least you can do is take somebody. Is that what you're looking at me doing?
Say it, you find it cruel.
Well, I mean, you have to have two living people.
No. You have the body.
One living.
The donor body is dead.
Yeah.
So I mean, then you still have to get someone that's willing to like accept the fact that, yeah, you're probably going to die when we cut your head off.
There's a guy, he wants to do it.
He wants to absolutely do it, yeah.
There's a guy, he has a degenerative disease that maybe if we gene edited, we could get rid of it, so we no longer need head transplant. That's it, this head transplant guy is like, you're going to put me out of business.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, dude.
I was going to corner the market on head transplants. Now you're just going to fix everybody? Come on. But yeah, no, there's a guy that like he has a degenerative disease and his body is wasting away, and he's 100% volunteered to be like, if we can do it, let's do it.
Or even if we not can do it, let's just.
He's willing to take the risk. Yeah.
Yeah. He even said that he knows that he's most likely gonna die during the procedure, and he's fine with it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, I think you kind of have to be, but I mean, I guess that's, you know, with all of these things, there will be people that want to do it, and there will be people that are desperate enough to do it. I think that's the other thing that we're, you know, maybe not thinking about is that some people.
And when I say that it doesn't really, I mean, solving one problem brings on more problems. Of course, that doesn't help the person who has the problem. Of course, I mean, he is desperate in getting this problem solved, even if it brings on 1,000 new problems. And this is totally understandable, and that's why there will always be people who want to do it.
Yeah.
And who could blame them?
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, that there'll be people that are desperate enough that they're willing to, you know, it's just like the people that sign up to be, you know, sort of medical guinea pigs in the first place, right? But unfortunately, in this case, these kids didn't really get to sign up for that.
No. True.
Teresa, you were going to say something? No? Done? Well, I mean, if there's no other real, you know, pressing thoughts on it, I mean...
I had some thoughts still, but I can't remember.
It's okay.
It was a late night at the Christmas market last night, right? So everybody
this cheap Glühwein really...
Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe we can reconvene in the coming months or whatever. Maybe next year. Maybe this time next year we do like a 1 year.
We are all gene edited by then.
Yeah. By that point, hey, if it was me, okay, let's end on this then.
Okay.
Would you do it to yourself? Would you get edited?
No.
I think I would first do it to myself before doing to my,
In that sense,
If-
I would do it
Yes.
to actually to see if it works or not. But I wouldn't really want to change anything about me. I think it's good. I like myself as
That's
I am.
good.
Oh wow! Look at
Yeah.
the confidence coming out of you. I was like, maybe if you could make my nose a little bit smaller, then maybe I'd do that. Or I would say I would do it on you first, but not me.
That's nice. Thanks.
But I don't know, like so you're saying you would do it obviously on yourself first before anybody else. Like
Yeah.
Take that burden of responsibility on
Absolutely.
yourself.
And that's
And
the
I-
whole thing.
Who would you edit?
I think definitely taller.
Yeah.
No, I think this should just say this.
Longer legs if they, maybe just eat less. Not chocolate addicted or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd get rid of the peanut allergy. That'd be the first one to go.
Well, that's a good point.
And this probably is something that could be easily achieved. Actually, it could be by destroying all the B cells somehow that produce the antibodies against the peanuts.
Right?
Who knows?
Yeah, then I'd
Wow.
eat my heart out.
Oh man, yeah. Then
And
I
see,
would
that's-
start eating.
that's-
Oh, believe me, you're not missing anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
disagree.
No.
100% disagree on that point.
No.
But that's a good, that's a good one. You could get rid of allergies. So I would say that. And I mean, that's not even.
But I mean, I don't know. At the same time, maybe it's a stupid cop-out answer, but it makes me unique. Well, it used to, not so much anymore.
Yeah, now
Because
it's like-
everybody,
Oh,
it's
everyone
like
has
1 in
allergies.
10 kids or something.
Yeah, they're stealing your thunder, right?
I don't get to be special.
Oh, so now everybody dies when they eat a peanut. Oh, no
But-
longer special.
You're right. This is a point I think we haven't stressed enough. This gene editing in the end will probably likely lead to everyone being the same person.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
Like, there
we
will be
talked
no
about that.
diversity,
Yeah, but
and no one will really be unique, maybe.
Wow, but I mean, if everybody gets to choose, think about how many, like, some of the conversations that are happening right now of people being like, I don't want to be this gender anymore. I want to, do that. Like, people still want to be different things, so there'll still be diversity, even if you can choose what that thing is that you want. It's not like everybody's going to pick, I want to be, blonde and 6 foot
Everyone-
tall.
There will be maybe 10% who want to look like Kim Kardashian. There will be 10% who want to look like Justin Bieber. There are 10% who want to look like, I don't know. So there will be 10 different people in this world. That's the diversity.
And then the lizard people.
And then the lizard people.
Yeah. I want to see the lizard.
So you want to become a lizard?
I was just going to say, I have a strong feeling that someone in this
Seriously.
round wants to be a
With
lizard.
wings. With
Oh,
wings
wait.
and flying.
No, I don't want to be a lizard. No, I don't want to be scaly. No, but if you could, I mean,
The tongue. Just the tongue.
no, I don't want the tongue. I don't want the eyes. I don't want to be a lizard. I'm going on the record. I don't want to be a lizard. I know that it sounds like I do, but I don't. But.
Loving the butt already.
But if, say there was something like, oh, well, we could, like, what's that movie where Kevin Costner can breathe underwater?
Waterworld.
Boom.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like where he's just got the gills behind his ears. I might get some ear gills. Be able to breathe underwater. That'd be pretty cool.
How often are you underwater?
Oh.
If I had ear gills, I'd be underwater all the time. I would be in our bathtub just being like.
You know what? I changed my opinion about gene editing entirely. I want gills now as well.
Right? Sounds like it'd be
Oh,
sweet.
come on.
Yeah.
See, you're already affecting somebody, and there will be no diversity whatsoever now.
Wow,
We're
everyone
just
will
gonna
have
be
gills.
become
Yeah.
him.
We'll be the 10% of the, gill people
on.
that live in both worlds.
Yes.
speak with the fishes.
Yeah, just live underwater and it's okay.
That's
We don't want you on land anymore.
No.
Get out of here.
that's the good thing about discussions, that you can change your opinion. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not locking anybody into anything. I mean, once this goes on the internet, then yeah, you're
You're
set.
locked.
You're
But
That's
you can
it.
hear me now changing my opinion entirely. So
Yeah.
180 degrees. It could change back and forth.
Yeah.
So
But you're
I'm-
in for gills right now.
I'm in for gills. So, yeah.
Well, and with the gills, you'd have to get a little webbing in your fingers, I think. Yeah.
This goes along.
Yeah, of
so,
course. Yeah.
duh. Don't half-ass things.
yeah. If you're gonna live with the fish. Well, all right. Cool. Well. All right. I've got that off my chest. I'm on the record.
Yeah.
Not a lizard. I'm more into the aquatic lifestyle. But, cool. Well, thanks guys for doing a little conversation. I think it's, maybe we've enlightened something, or just, talked about the same things that everyone's been talking about.
I was
How
just
great
going to
it
say, I
is.
don't really think we enlightened a lot. It was more.
It was fun though.
It was fun, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right. Well, and next time is good. We didn't even touch on,
Yeah,
how smart
we'll-
dolphins are and
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
they're so.
We're gonna talk about that.
Well,
That's next.
We'll save that for next time. But well, thanks everybody.
Thank you
Thanks.
for inviting us. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, people. Bit of a fun conversation there. Maybe you think I was making too much light of it, but this is just, to me, just a really, really insane thing that's happened. And like I said during this conversation, and many times during this podcast, I'm kind of for it. I think it solves a lot of problems. It can solve a lot of needs. Obviously, it needs to be done in a more responsible way. And no, I don't want to be a lizard. I'm going to put that out there once again. I would take the gills, but that'll have to wait. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll hopefully have some of these people back on again to talk about maybe some more of the research, maybe some more of the stuff that they're more involved in, and we'll maybe have a bit more time to explore some more things. Like I said, I just wanted we had been having these conversations in the pub. It was sort of a buzz amongst all the PhDs and the postdocs and stuff. So I wanted to try and capture that. I quite enjoyed the conversation. I want to thank everybody that was there for joining me on the podcast. As always, please, check out our website, twobreadforyou.wordpress.com. We have the shows that Brad and I do. We have the In Conversation series going on. It's all there. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. If we're not on those, get in touch with us on Twitter at twobreadforyou, or me at bvamperdon, because I'd love to find out where you're listening and get onto those platforms. And then if you enjoy the show and you want to kind of help us out, doing a review on your preferred platform is always helpful. And tell your friends to get in on some of this Too Brad For You action. Hopefully they enjoy it too. I think that's it. Thanks again, always, Sebastian, for the artwork, Freak Motif for the music. And yeah, that's about all I have. I have another In Conversation episode coming up next week, so look out for that. Subscribe to us, leave us a review, and until then, I will talk to you later. Goodbye now.